lights at Rogers Center are off, but the questions are very much alive. Snow dusts the streets of Toronto. Another year turns over. And somewhere between silence and speculation, the Toronto Blue Jays are still building, not loudly, not recklessly, but deliberately, methodically, almost restlessly. Because something is missing. For nearly a decade, this franchise has chased the same horizon. Sustained contention. Not flashes, not moments, but permanence. And now, approaching the new year, the Blue Jays find themselves at a familiar crossroads. The roster is good. In places, very good. In others, incomplete. A puzzle with one obvious gap. A bat big enough to replace the shadow of Bo Bichette. Free agency whispers of stars. Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman. Big names, big contracts, big risks. But if the recent history of this front office has taught us anything, it's this. The Blue Jays don't just shop in the open market. They trade. They negotiate in the margins. They reshape their team in quieter rooms. And they've done it before. 3 off-seasons ago, Toronto pulled the trigger on 2 deals that redefined their identity. Teoscar Hernandez shipped to Seattle. Gabriel Moreno and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. sent to Arizona. In return, Dalton Varsho's glove, Eric Swanson's arm, Adam Macko's upside. Defense became doctrine. Run prevention became philosophy. Then came 2023-24. No major trades, no big swings. And in hindsight, a season that stalled. A reminder that standing still in baseball is its own kind of regression. Last winter, movement returned. Andrés Giménez, Miles Straw, both acquired from Cleveland. A familiar trading partner. A familiar pipeline. This regime knows the Guardian system, knows their evaluations, knows where value hides. Which brings us back to the present, and back to Cleveland. Steven Kwan has been a name circling Toronto for over a year now. Quietly, persistently. A player who doesn't dominate headlines, but changes games in subtler ways. Left-handed bat, elite contact skills, speed. Defense that doesn't just save runs, it erases mistakes. His 2025 numbers were modest. A .272 average, an on-base percentage barely north of .330, 11 home runs across nearly 700 plate appearances, league average production, nothing flashy. But baseball isn't lived in single seasons. Just 1 year earlier, Kwan was something else entirely. A .292 hitter, a .368 on-base machine, a .131 WRC+, more walks than strikeouts. The kind of hitter who turns lineups over, who exhausts pitchers, who makes innings longer and nights harder. And in the field, only Dalton Varsho has saved more runs in the outfield since 2022. That matters, because Varsho's clock is ticking. So is George Springer's. By 2027, both could be gone, and the free agent market for outfielders next winter is thin, uninspiring, risky. Kyle Tucker would be the dream, the transformational piece. But Steven Kwan is the fit. Controlled, reliable, defensive excellence paired with contact and speed. A bridge between now and whatever comes next. The Blue Jays don't just need thunder. They need balance. And balance doesn't stop with bats. The bullpen, on paper, looks crowded, deep, stable. But scratch the surface and a familiar weakness appears. A true left-handed reliever who can survive and thrive in high leverage. JoJo Romero might not be a household name, but his numbers tell a compelling story. A 2.07 ERA last season. 61 innings, heavy sinker, nasty slider, ground balls everywhere. Nearly 55% of balls put in play, driven into the dirt. Romero doesn't overpower hitters. He suffocates them, forces mistakes, keeps the ball in the park when the game tightens, and every pitch feels heavier than the last. High leverage doesn't scare him. Over 20 innings in those moments last year. Opponents hit .164 against him. Not clean, not perfect, but effective. He's a free agent at season's end, which makes him the kind of arm contenders circle in July. Not now, not loudly, but patiently. And then there's the rotation. On most nights, Toronto's starters can already go toe-to-toe with anyone. Kevin Gausman, Shane Bieber, Dylan Cease, a foundation that inspires confidence, a structure that doesn't collapse under pressure. But baseball has always rewarded excess, and the Blue Jays have learned that depth isn't a luxury, it's insurance. Freddy Peralta is the kind of name that changes conversations instantly. Ace caliber. Strikeouts in volume. ERA under 3.00 last season. Nearly 180 innings. Prime years still ahead. And a contract that makes him both valuable and painfully expensive to acquire. $8 million in 2026. Free agency after. The cost in prospects would be staggering, painful. The kind of trade that reshapes a farm system. But imagine it. Peralta, Cease, Gausman, Bieber, Trey Yesevich waiting in the wings. It wouldn't just be good, it would be terrifying. For opponents, for October, there would be hard decisions. Jose Barrios, Cody Ponce, familiar faces, difficult conversations. But championships are rarely built without discomfort. That's where the Blue Jays stand right now. Between comfort and ambition. Between what they are and what they could become. The front office isn't done. Not with this roster. Not with this window. The silence isn't inactivity. It's calculation. Trades are coming. Maybe one, maybe two. Maybe the kind that don't trend immediately, but reshape the season quietly, inexorably. Because in Toronto, the goal isn't to win headlines in January. It's to be standing in October, with a roster built not just to arrive, but to endure. And the question now isn't if the Blue Jays make their move. It's which risk they're finally willing to take. Let that thought sit with you. And when the next move comes, ask yourself, was this the piece that changes everything?